What up, Hyperchange? Welcome to another episode. So on Friday, I bought more Tesla stock at $343 a share. I only bought one share. That's all I can afford. Had a little extra money from dog sitting Rusty, who I'm going to play a couple photos from him now. Love him. And anyway, so I wanted to make this episode to explain, why I'm buying Tesla, or why I decided to buy Tesla stock, why when I have spare cash, I'm deciding to invest in Tesla, why I'm more bullish on the company than ever. And I do want to say, this isn't financial advice. Nothing I do or say on the channels is meant to be financial advice. This is just like my investing diary. And so I guess the biggest thing that's on my mind about Tesla stock is these Q3 earnings, that now that I've had time to process it, I don't think people realize how much of a fundamental shift at the business level has occurred at Tesla. The company has gone from burning money, or a company that needs constant capital to sustain itself, to a company that's actually producing capital. So, as an asset, this makes it incredibly more valuable. This de-risks the entire story. I mean, the fact that they don't need to rely on the capital markets and can fund their growth from internally generated cash flow is a huge inflection point. And even bigger than the numbers that we're reporting Q3 is this promise and commitment and, very clear path towards the fact that they never need to raise capital again. They're going to be profitable or, break even every single quarter here going forward. So operationally, the business has reached a level of maturity that is just fundamentally different, and all has to do with the iPhone of the automotive world, the Model 3. Now, for as long as I've been following Tesla, the company has been building towards this originally when I was following the company, it was like Project Blue Star, this, mass market, affordable electric vehicle. And everything the company was doing was building up to that. That's why on their income statement, they were losing money for so many years, is because they were investing in service infrastructure, retail stores, superchargers needed to set up for hundreds of thousands and eventually millions of Teslas on the road, despite the fact they were only selling tens of thousands per year. So, Tesla made this very difficult decision as a business to invest billions of dollars in capital expenditures to build a battery factory, to build a car factory, to build out all this network of stores, etc. And now that is all paid off. And so, at Q3, we saw finally the revenue from all that infrastructure hit, the Model 3 sales hit, and the company is profitable. So the biggest thing that I wanted to nail down is, from a risk standpoint, investing in Tesla to me is less risky than it's ever been. And when I bought these shares when I was listening to Kara Swisher's Recode Decode podcast, which was an awesome podcast, made a whole episode about it, but or bought this one share, but and Elon has this interesting point of like, Tesla was staring death in the face for so long. Now we're not. There's sort of like this new status quo of like, things are running smoothly. The company is more secure than it's ever been. And it's one thing to read about that in the financial statements. It's another thing to hear the CEO candidly talk about that. And that makes me really feel more confident about the company. Beyond that, when I think about investing in companies, I think about, what is the asset I'm buying? And, people on Wall Street love to get these fancy models, discounted cash flow statements, analyzing every cell in an Excel spreadsheet. That's fine. Do whatever works for you. But, I like to think a lot more artistically and sort of creatively about what is an asset? What am I buying? And I think and that's the way that works for me. And so when I think about Tesla, when I buy it at $343 a share, the market capitalization or value of the company is around 55 or 60 billion. So I'm buying, into Tesla at 55 or 60 billion. Why do I think that's a good idea? Why do I want to invest at that price? Well, here's a look at Tesla's revenue for the past, since their IPO. As you can see, the revenue has scaled rapidly. According to my estimates, we're on track to do about 21, a little over that, in billion in revenue. In 2018, that's almost 100% growth. And this is the thing that I think is so impressive to me. Tesla has exhibited a growth rate of almost 100%, compounding revenue at 100% since their IPO. I mean, to find a company that is growing this fast at this scale, we've never seen this in the history of anything. This is growing faster than Amazon did in its heyday. And what's so fascinating about it is that Tesla's not even building software, they're building cars. And so, I mean, the track record of growth here is absolutely phenomenal. And, one of my favorite sayings is like, CEOs who keep growing and winning are going to keep growing and winning. CEOs who keep losing and failing are going to keep losing and failing. I mean, this is a CEO and a company that has kept winning and growing. And I think this is going to continue. And that's just from a high level. But if we go dive down into what Tesla's actually setting up for in the next couple years, the product pipeline that this company has is absolutely mind-boggling. I mean, it's exciting, even so, okay, if I'm buying them for 55 or 60 billion, they're doing 21 billion in sales. Okay, I'm paying less than 3 times sales for a company growing 100%. That already to me looks like a solid deal. Also, from an earnings basis, the company generated 417 million in EBIT operating income in Q3 this quarter that just passed. If we annualize that, that's about $1.7 billion in annualized earnings for the company. And 55 billion divided by 1.7 billion in earnings is only a 32 times price EBIT ratio for a company that's growing its top line in the last quarter at 128%. That's a PEG ratio of less than 0.3. So I think it already looks super cheap on that level. But let's take a step back, that more artistic, creative valuation approach. Tesla's Model 3 is still in its infancy. It's the number one selling car by revenue in the US. But here's the catch. In the US, they haven't even started selling it internationally, and Tesla's already generating this type of earnings and this type of revenue. So imagine when Tesla's car hits Europe and China in early 2019. I mean, the addressable market for the Model 3 is going to expand significantly. So even with just the current lineup of Model S, X, and Model 3, that 21 billion number isn't doing a good job at representing how much revenue those products can generate, because the Model 3's been ramping and it's not even doing international. So just from those 3 products, I think we're looking at closer to a $40 billion revenue company. But that's just scratching the surface. I mean, the platform and the technology that Tesla's built is going to be is already been developed. A lot of the hard work has been done, but and now the revenue and profits from the potential of that technology have yet to been fully realized. I'm talking about the Model Y, the Tesla semi-truck, the Tesla Roadster, the Tesla pickup. There's all these new cars in the pipeline that are coming down built on this technology that as of Q3 we've seen can scale remarkably profitably. And so, when Tesla comes out with their Model Y, that's, a smaller sort of SUV type of car, that's going to have a market that's even bigger than the Model 3. And so if you just add another 25 billion in incremental revenue from the Model Y, we can get to $65 billion in revenue for Tesla. Then we have the semi-truck, which is an entirely new division and area of competing for Tesla. I mean, there's, hundreds of thousands of semi-trucks sold in the US each year. All of them are running on diesel and burning incredible amounts of noxious fumes. Even assuming the government can't get their shit together and fix that like they should with some sort of legislation or subsidy, I mean, we're going to go electric in the truck market as well. And that's another tens and probably $20 billion revenue opportunity globally for the Tesla semi-truck. And this is all, back of the napkin, so bear with me here. So we have the Model, S, X, 3, that gets us to 40 billion. The Model Y gets us to about 65 billion. You have the semi-truck, gets us to about 85 billion in revenue. Then you add in the pickup truck. Ford alone sells about 900,000 pickup trucks a year in the US. I mean, that's another $10-20 billion opportunity. And then I haven't even scratched the surface about what Tesla's battery division is doing, what their solar roof division is doing. I mean, their energy division as a whole is on track to do about 1.5 or 2 billion in revenue this year alone, and it's growing rapidly as well. So that's going to be another $5 or $10 billion business in the next couple years. So, adding this all up holistically at a high level, real simply, Tesla is clearly showing to me a path and a product pipeline to get to $100 billion in revenue, probably within the next, I think they're going to get to a $100 billion revenue run rate in probably the next 24 to 36 months, anywhere around there. And their profit margin last quarter was 6%. I think as they keep increasing economies of scale, they can hit a 10% operating profit margin. So on $100 billion in revenue, 10% operating profit margin, we're looking at $10 billion of earnings for Tesla. And so if I would think about an asset that, okay, it's worth 55 or 60 billion, they could do $10 billion in earnings within the next couple years and still be growing like crazy. I think that $10 billion earnings number is going to justify a multiple of 25x. That puts the market cap at 200 to 250 billion. And so that's, a 4 to 5x increase on my capital today in the next 3 or 4 years, or whenever they hit that $100 billion in revenue number, which maybe it takes 5 years, but I think is really, really, it's coming. It just is coming. I don't know. That's just what I believe, and that's my bet, and that's why I'm placing it, and that is justifying the tremendous upside. And now there's one more caveat here that I want to talk about, which is this entire notion of autonomous driving, self-driving cars. The transport industry is getting ready to change more in the next 10 years than in the next 100 years. If you listen to the last Tesla conference call, actually last 2, they bring on a ton of people from their autopilot division. This is super important. It's a really important clue about where the company's headed. Additionally, on the last company conference call, Elon Musk referenced a ton of times how they want to create this sort of hybrid between Uber and Airbnb, the Tesla network. This is almost Tesla's entire business is almost a Trojan horse to develop the technology to be able to have autonomous driving. And if Tesla can be a first mover in autonomous driving, which Elon Musk thinks they will be, I think they will be, this is an opportunity that will dwarf that $100 billion in revenue and $10 billion in profit number. I mean, those numbers are going to look like a joke compared to how big of a market self-driving cars are going to be. Imagine getting an Uber for $20 across town. Uber makes whatever, $2 to $3 on that ride. Let's say the Tesla network comes out and you could get that same ride for $10, but Tesla's getting an even bigger profit margin. So the cost to consumers of rides is going to go down dramatically. And there's this huge barrier to entry of being able to offer an autonomous driving service of the technology and having regulators approve your company's technology. And right now, Tesla, in my opinion, is miles and miles ahead, literally and figuratively, of the competition, because they have installed 8 autopilot cameras in all of their cars that are driving around. So every time you buy a Tesla, it's equipped with all of these cameras with a neural network attached to it that's learning, that's improving itself constantly. And they're getting all of this billions and billions of miles of real world driving data that is using to train their autonomous vehicle networks. This is an asset that they're building in stealth mode that nobody seems to care about, that I think is going to be a huge puzzle piece to them being the first mover in self-driving cars. And if Tesla can be the first mover in self-driving and really offer this Tesla network service, I mean, this is going to be a game changer. So on a super, and this is a little exercise I like to think about. So I live in New York City. I'm 25. I'm in the tech sort of industry. I mean, I get around New York City all the time. I take Uber. I usually take the subway, but like if I'm going to the airport or something, I don't know, I might take Uber. But I almost never get a ride in a Tesla. And so when you think about it like that, I think people like me, for our transport needs, are going to almost always be going around in Teslas if Tesla is the cheapest technology and the best service. So if you think about, Tesla's just scratching the surface of miles market share, so to speak. And I think, as their fleet grows and as their autonomous capability grows, their market share of miles driven is going to increase dramatically. And even people like me who may not own a Tesla are going to be, generating revenue for the company through this Tesla network service. And that's going to unlock a tremendous next level of potential for the company. So there's so many things I could take the time to talk about with Tesla, but I think, 55 or 60 billion is for a company that is building the future of transport and the future of energy, two multi-trillion-dollar industries. As far as I can tell, they have a 3 to 4 year lead in both those industries, and they were the underdog. They didn't have a chance. They were burning money. They were relying on investors, and they still generated and jump-started because of Elon Musk and because everyone at the company worked their butt off. They generated a 3 to 4 year lead in technology. Now that they have the money, now that they're profitable, they have more resources than ever. I think their lead is going to widen, or at least stay consistent, and they're going to just continue to disrupt the energy and transport markets unlike anything we've ever seen in decades and decades. And I think we're witnessing the birth of potentially one of the most disruptive technology companies of the 21st century, and we've only seen them come out with 3 products, the S, X, and 3. Like, I think when I think back in like 50 years from now, like if I have grandkids and I tell my grandkids that like I invested in Tesla before the Model 3 came out, like, I just think that'll be like this concept, like, oh my God, like you can invest in Tesla before the Model 3 is even available worldwide, let alone the Model Y, let alone the Tesla Semi, let alone the pickup truck. All the stuff we know is coming. I mean, what's going to be next from Tesla? I mean, the energy industry. I mean, how many of your houses and your grids are powered by fossil fuels? Do you think that's still going to be the case 10, 20 years from now? No. At least I don't. And I think the company that's driving us towards that future and that's going to capture the bulk of the value from building that sustainable future is going to be Tesla. And so beyond being this incredible business opportunity, I love investing in Tesla because you're really part of this movement to change the world and to pivot it into a more sustainable society of transport and energy. And I just think that is such an inspiring mission to be a part of. I mean, to say that you're investing, I'm a big believer that I want to invest in a future that I want to live in. I want to invest in a future that I believe in. That's why I don't buy tobacco stocks. I don't buy oil stocks. I don't buy fossil fuel, anything related to fossil fuel, natural gas. I hate all of that because that's just not a future I believe in. And Tesla is a future I believe in. So it's almost like too perfect because I love the financial upside. I love, they have the most exciting product pipeline. They're run by Elon Musk, this genius engineer, businessman, software guy who is only 46 or 47 years old, who has decades left of just mind-boggling innovation to come. I mean, to be able to invest in a company that's doing this with that type of leader, that's this early in their mission, that's also going to leave an incredible mark on the history of humanity and society. Like, to be able to be involved in that at this stage is just, I don't know. So that's a big part of investing for me. And I think a lot of people, when they invest, they detach themselves from their investments. You're investing in companies, you're investing in things, and you put money, I don't know. So I just think whether you're invested in Tesla or not, whatever your portfolio is, like, think about where you're putting your capital. Is the companies you're investing in building a future that you want to live in? That is what it is. I'm dog sitting for a week. Rusty, you're the man. And I got enough money to buy one extra share of Tesla, and so wanted to break down why. And I don't know if I could put a crazy prediction on the table, I guess, because why not? I think Tesla will be $1 trillion company before the year 2030. Probably before, maybe even before the year actually no, today's 2018. Before the year 2028, I think Tesla will be worth $1 trillion because I see a clear product pipeline to get there. And that's just sort of my prediction. Even if I'm wrong, I still think I can make a ton of money on this trade. And so, while investing in a future that I believe in. So that is what it is. That's why I decided to invest in Tesla. Would love to know what you think in the comments below. Am I crazy? Does this make any sense to you? Are you on the same page? Who knows? Anyway, also a huge shout out to all of our Patreon producers and supporters. I just put out Hyperchange's Q3 report. Yes, this little YouTube channel I have is a business, and you support by watching it. You're supporting by supporting on Patreon and subscribing to the newsletter. You're supporting, and I release all the financial statements, quarterly report, just like Tesla's, to the Patreon supporters. So I did that yesterday. So yeah, thank you so much to all the Patreon supporters. Anyway, this is Hyperchange. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.